In the past 3 years, I've made millions of dollars using other people, and this video is going to show you how to do the exact same thing. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm not afraid to talk about sensitive or hot button topics, and that's because nobody else is talking about it. So although you may think that I'm a terrible person right off the bat of this video, stick with me until the end, and you'll actually realize how you should be using other people if you want to help other people. So we're going to break it down into three main sections: time, audience, and money. You may have heard the saying before, OPM, which stands for other people's money. And this is how you really get wealthy. OPM is essentially leveraging other people's money in order to make more money. An example of this could be a house. Let's say you want to buy a house for investment purposes. Let's say, just for easy numbers, it's a $300,000 house. Well, most mortgages or most lending companies are going to require you to put down anywhere from 10 to 20% of your own money, and they're going to use their money to pay the rest. That's other people's money. So in a 10% example for a down payment, you would give the bank or the mortgage company 10%. So you'd give them about $30,000, and then they would put the rest up, which in this example is about $270,000 for you to get the house. So realistically, you've only spent $30,000 and they're paying $270,000. And that's an example of other people's money. So if you're new to the investing world or to business, you may think that's a bad trade for the bank or the mortgage company that's giving you the money. I mean, you're only putting up $30,000. Well, what happens is that company or that bank makes you pay interest. So they're making you pay 3%, 5%, 7% on that loan. And so they're actually making money lending you out that money. But where you make money and why it's smart to use other people's money is, let's say that the bank's giving you a 3% interest rate on that loan. Well, if you can have that house appreciate and you can cash flow from renting it out or rehab or, selling it, a 5%, 7%, 10%, or even a 20% return on it, then you're making the difference between whatever you're paying the bank, let's say 3%, and whatever your cash flow or appreciation is, let's say 10%. So you'd be making 7% of the total amount of the $300,000 while you're using other people's money. Now, for like a real personal example, myself, I've actually gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars in a line of credit from Schwab, my stock brokerage account, and they've lent it to me at a 2.75% interest rate using my stocks as collateral. I've then taken that money and put it into stuff like cryptocurrency, or I put it into stuff like real estate or whatever else it is, where I'm getting a 3%, 5%, 10%, 20% return on investment. So if you talk to anybody that's been in business for a while, they'll tell you that a 2.75% interest rate is essentially giving away free money, because if you know what you're doing, you can get a massive return. I mean, even a decent return would be about 8%, which is around 5% higher than what they're lending it to you at. But if you know what you're doing, you could get a 10, 20, even 30% return on your money. So if you're looking to get ahead, don't do this until you're a little bit more advanced, but you can start using other people's money in order to do it. Cool. So next, let's talk about other people's audiences. Now, this is probably one you've never heard before because it's something I coined myself, but other people's audiences is exactly what it sounds like. I'm leveraging the audience that other people, whether entrepreneurs, influencers, business owners, have created over decades, and they've built up trust and rapport with that audience. And then I hop on for an interview or something like that and siphon that trust over to myself. Great examples of these include podcasts, YouTube collaborations, Instagram collaborations, maybe Facebook interviews inside groups, where you get on and provide value to the person that's interviewing you or speaking to you, and you provide value to their audience. And in exchange, some of the people that you're speaking to in their audience then becomes your audience. So that's what an other people's audience is. I've actually used it organically to make millions of dollars. I've been on Entrepreneurs on Fire with John Lee Dumas with 2.5 million downloads. I've been on Neil Patel's podcast with 1.5 million downloads. I've been inside Facebook groups with 50,000 people inside of them where I've been interviewed, and then got a flood of DMs or requests afterwards of people to do business with me. So it takes a very long time to build an audience, and I do recommend that you do it because you're going to be happy later on that you do. But what you can do in order to kind of skip ahead of a lot of other people is not just use paid advertising, although I am a big fan of paid advertising, but instead leverage that organic audience that somebody somebody else has spent years creating. Because what happens is they essentially transfer that trust and that love and that, care that they put into that audience, they transfer it over to you whenever they interview you, and thus you are able to get a lot more fans, a lot larger audience, and even some new customers if you know how to do it correctly. Finally, having a company with over 30 employees, I want to talk to you about other people's time. One of my favorite quotes ever is by John D. Rockefeller, and he says, "I'd rather make 1% of 100 people's hours than 100% of my own hours." And what that essentially means is that it's much more scalable for you to have somebody else do the work and profit from their work than for you to do all the work yourself. Now, I'm not talking about being like, the slave driver boss who is an asshole. I'm talking about you exchanging whether it's, stock options, profit share, or salary for somebody in exchange for their time, and then you are profiting from their time. It's really similar to using other people's money. So the example of using other people's money, you're getting loaned out at, let's say, 2 or 3% some kind of money, and then you're flipping around and taking that money and making 5, 10, 15, 20%. Well, the thing that I've noticed, having worked with over 1,200 entrepreneurs, is that most people don't translate that concept into other people's time. So if you could pay someone a $50,000 a year salary and they could make you $250, $300, $350, even $500,000 from their direct efforts, why would you not do that, right? Why would you not do that? And most of the time it's because you're scared, or you don't know how it works, or you've never thought of it in that concept. That's why at Scaling with Systems, when we give our clients fully trained virtual assistants for $3 an hour, it's almost a no-brainer because they're only paying $3 an hour, and we teach those virtual assistants to do lead generation that can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. So you're paying $400 a month to make, let's say, $100,000 a month in deals closed. That's an obvious example, but as you start to grow and scale your business, like where we're at in the millions of dollars, you can't just rely on virtual assistants. So you have to have chief operating officers, chief tech officers, media buyers. And in those examples, it gets a little bit harder to cough up maybe $100,000, maybe even a $200,000 a year salary. But once again, if you're able to figure it out and see it in the way that is, okay, I'm paying this person $100,000, but they're either going to make me back $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 from their direct efforts, or B, they're going to take something off of my plate that's going to allow me to then spend more time on those things that bring me, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So that's how to look at it when you're using other people's time. I also use it, when I get meal preps for food, I get a maid to come in here and clean, and those are examples of, instead of me doing that thing, I'm paying, $100, $200 a week for someone to come in here and save me 4 to 5 hours so I can shoot videos like these or create better content for my clients. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the 3 ways that I use other people and that you should be using other people to essentially get ahead. Now, if some of this resonated with you and you want a lot more in-depth training on like where to find these virtual assistants at, what you should be spending your time on so you are making a lot more money, investment opportunities, I do have a free course you can get by clicking the link in the description down below that covers the 3 things I've learned scaling 2 companies to over $6 million in revenue in under 2 years. And you can click the link down below to get access to it now. Finally, if you enjoy videos like these, be sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe so you can get notified when I put out another video, which I put out 2 a week. And I'll see you guys in the next video.